people who watch this video, the better each and every one of you are going to be. This is going to be a little bit of a wake-up call to our own power and potential in this world. You see, every time you look around the world that surrounds us, you can notice that we have been subjected to a lot of things that we really don't want to be subjected to. And you guys need to understand, a lot of you people need to understand that what you want matters a lot. What you need matters, but what you want matters too. Because what you want out of this world is what's going to bring you to a state where you have a higher vibration. When you get the things that you want and not always settling for just what you need. Because when you settle for just what you need, you're just surviving, man. That's all you're doing. You're not actually living the life that you've been blessed with. You're just surviving. And when you look around this world, the world wasn't always like this. It really wasn't. It was literally the past few generations that made the world like this. The past few generations have made the world the way it is. If it wasn't for that, we'd still be more or less getting some of the things that we want, rather than always having to settle for what we need. And you guys don't realize how important that is. A lot of you who are like, oh, well, that's just life, get over it. A lot of you don't seem to understand how important it is to actually get what you want. You avoid being miserable. You avoid being down in the dumps. That's not normal. Just because everybody lives that way doesn't mean it's okay and doesn't mean it's normal. Each and every one of you have been blessed with your own gifts and your own talents and your own abilities to make a living for yourself without having to rely on a system or something outside of yourself to do it for you. You don't realize how much happier you would be in life if you used your talents to be who you want to be, rather than being subjected to being something you don't want to be just because you got to get by, pay bills, and survive. And in this day and age, we have the ability to get in contact with one another and stay in touch with the people who are around us. Not even the people who are around us, to people who are nowhere near us. We have the ability to reach that far and touch people's hearts and touch people's minds who go out that far. And with that, we are able to really bring a difference to this world. And the more people who see this video and can understand that it's not about trying to make the most money and compete with each other, but it's about unity. It's about not allowing the system to divide and conquer us like it's been doing. You look around and everybody is so divided, and you wonder why the world is struggling so much, because nobody gets along. Nobody can unite and get together and really connect. And I'm telling you right now, if each and every one of you were to get up and you were to step outside your door and go to all your neighbors and you all agree on one thing, and I know it's going to be almost impossible to do such a thing, right? But just really think about it from a big, broad, a huge perspective here. Think way outside the box right now. Way outside the box. And get in contact with your neighbors and the people who are around you and the people who are outside of you, and try to make a community, as many people as possible. Maybe social media is the answer to this, but get in touch with people who are, even if it ain't your neighbors, just as many people as you can, to agree on uniting with each other to build a different way of living that involves us living up to our needs and wants, because you're not going to be happy in life if you're always having to settle for what you need and you never get what you want. And I learned that recently because there was a lot, you know, this world, it kind of makes the whole want and need thing a black and white picture where you have to pick one or the other. And it's like, if I were to use cars, for example, a lot of cars, right? There's a lot of them that look really nice and they look nice. It's what you want, right? But it's not what you need, because most of the time, a lot of the cars that are very attractive are not that reliable. On the flip side, the cars that seem to be very reliable, sometimes, not all the time, because there's reliable cars out there that are attractive cars, but a lot of the time they don't look that you know, attractive. They're built to look like a basic vehicle. So that eliminates what you want, because you don't want to drive an ugly car, but you need something reliable. And at the same time, you want to drive an attractive car, but you know you need something reliable. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to settle for one or the other, and I've noticed that. If you were to compare, let's compare, like me, I find American cars attractive. I like the way American cars look. But if you were to compare American cars to companies like Honda or Toyota, you know, they obviously, the American cars don't stand up to par when it comes to reliability. Meanwhile, the Toyota and the Hondas, they don't, in my opinion, there's people out there who will think otherwise, but in my opinion, the Honda and the Toyotas don't look as attractive as a lot of the American cars do. And that's just a simple example of what I mean. And that can go for not just cars, but a lot of other things like houses. Like you could want a big, nice, fancy house, right? But that's not what you need. You can't even afford it, you know? So you have to settle for, you're always settling for what you need, and you never get the things that you want. And if you were to look outside the picture, the world that we're living in right now, we have the opportunity to make the best out of our situations. And that could explain why a lot of us younger guys are alone right now, and we don't have any friends. We don't have anybody to talk to. And sometimes, without you realizing it, it could be a good thing, because that puts you in a position where you have no distractions. You have nothing in your way. You can focus on what you need to focus on so that you can create the life that you want, in terms of you being the creator rather than someone else creating something for you to be a part of. You're creating your own, you're being your own architect. Be your own architect is what I'm saying. You have your own talents, your own skill sets that are outside of a job, outside of being part of a company and being third party somewhere. Instead of being third party somewhere, you're first party. You're in first person view. You see what I'm saying? And with you being in that position, and you create something that can make you money and get you far, then that's where it's really at. That's where you're gonna find your happiness. Because to tell you the truth, I don't think jobs are for you to stay there forever. They're meant for you to leave eventually so that someone else could come along and take your place. It's meant to be that way. You're not meant to just stay at one job and hold that one job for the rest of your life. Because the moment you do that, you kind of turn yourself into a slave. The job is there to help you get by, but it's not really supposed to be there to be something permanent. And I look at the way I see it now, a 401k is you retiring, settling for the least. You're settling for the least by just accepting a 401k and not having the drive to really, you know, do the things that, you know, if you were doing could really get you far. And I know that the car analogy I used earlier, it may sound kind of silly, But for some of you, it may not sound silly, because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who find certain, I'm sure a lot of you out there will understand what I'm saying. But it's like, yeah, man, God didn't intend for us to be poor and broke, and the money is not evil. It's what you do with your money. It's what you go about with. It's your moral decisions that is what's evil or not. It's not the money you have and what you do with that money. It's it's not about how much money you have. It's what you do with the money you have. And one of the purest forms of evil is to have so much money, far more than you possibly could need, right? And you don't even think or care about giving to communities who are struggling. Because someone with the right frame of mind, with a real conscience, they would at least consider giving some of their money to a community to help them out or whatever, just out of the kindness of their own heart. I'm not saying you got to go out and just throw all your money, because if you worked hard for that money, that's your money. You deserve it. You can do what you want with it. But I really believe that someone with a good conscience and someone with a good heart who really wants to make a difference in this world that matters would be willing to give back. And one way that we can give back to each other is by simply being there for each other. If you don't got the money, then you could at least be there for each other and be unity. Unite. Actually unite. We're considered the United States, and yet we're the most divided country in the world. So what makes us so united? There's so much to this. And really, you really got to take the time to get to know yourself, to know what you're good at and what your skill sets are going to help you in life. And if you're surrounded by toxic, negative people, that's not going to help you understand those aspects of yourself. You're going to really have to get outside of yourself, outside of your comfortability, outside of what you know. That's what I mean by outside yourself, outside of what you know, what you think you are. Because who and what you think you are sometimes is not always who you actually are. If you're trying to please other people, being a community and helping each other is one thing, but being a people pleaser is a completely different thing. Because being a people pleaser means you put your own self-respect and your own needs last. And that's not something good that's going to be good either. But I'm telling y'all, this world was never meant for us to be struggling. It was never meant for people to be poor. It was never meant for us to be hungry. Everything we need to sustain ourselves with no issues whatsoever is already here on this planet. The trees already have the ability to produce its own fruit and all of that mess. Why are we making people struggle just to eat? Some people can't even afford groceries. Some people can't even get by with their rent sometimes, and it literally all stems down to what and who is making it that way, you see? And you can't blame us. I'm telling you right now, it is not us. This planet has far more than enough land and far more than enough resource to provide for every single person on the planet. Trust me, it does. And still have enough room for more. This planet is huge. The problem is the problem is greed. That's the problem. Greed and selfishness. And what I'm saying is not selfishness. A lot of people will confuse what I'm saying to being selfish or being, you know, just out to get what I want and never mind it. No, I'm speaking for everybody here, because I'm sure everybody has something. Everybody, there's something everybody wants that they just don't have yet. You know, you come across anybody, any single person in the face of the world. There's something that they want that they don't have, that they wish they want, that they wish they could have, you know? And sometimes that thing that they want could be something as little as a friend, or you know, someone they could bond with, or something as little as, you know, a nice car. And it could just be one car, or a nice house, or to live here or to live there. You know, these are all dreams and desires that everybody has. And we were truly never meant to struggle like this badly. You know, there's something wrong when you're constantly trying to work towards a goal and you're always running into a setback. If it brings you to a place where you get exhausted, you get disappointed, you start feeling negative emotions, and you shouldn't be in a place where you put in so much effort towards something and so much work towards something just to end up being set back. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in this kind of world it happens, but I'm very sure that there are different ways we can go about living this world that could still be a benefit to everybody. Because everybody is so concerned with people being dangerous and people being people are so concerned about other people hurting them, and they make it all about their safety and all of this. But you got to keep in mind, it's the world that we live in that has made people like that has made people dangerous and all this mess. You change the world, you change the people. You see what I'm saying? So your safety is not really the biggest concern. It's the world that you've been convinced is totally normal. That's the problem. The world that you have been convinced is that it's totally normal. It's totally okay to throw somebody in jail over smoking weed, and then you're releasing people who have done some crazy. Now there's people out there that truly do deserve to be locked up, or you know, and all that other mess. There's people out there who truly deserve that, but that's something that as a community we can decide, rather than letting a system that is clearly not really for the people make those decisions. I mean, to tell you the truth, there's a lot of things that this world deems okay that's not really okay. It's just not. And then there's a lot of things that this world deems not okay that should be okay, you know? And really, this world should really be run based off of a moral compass and not based off of dictatorship, because really the people in power, they just want to throw their finger around and tell you what to do. It has their rule and their power in this world has nothing to do with moral standards, and that's the problem